Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, staying clean, and I'm so happy that you have time in your schedule on Saturday to be a part of my recovery. And today I want to talk about doing the right thing, being open with myself, who I am. Yes. In my active addiction, let's, before I say that part about what I want to share, I want to go to. We all watch movies. We don't see the Superman, the Batman, the Incredible Hulk, the Bionic Man, Spider Man. All these movies, all these heroes going against some unmountable situations, things that was almost impossible to happen, but they had these special powers that they was able to do these things. And the interesting thing is that all of them had to hide these powers and this being this hero that they was. They had to hide that. They had to keep it a secret. So now I want you to think about that for a moment. Those who are trying to help people, those that are trying to take away the pain of things that are happening, they wanted to help, but they had to hide who they was to protect themselves. In my active addiction, I hid who I was. That person that Robert truly was hidden. And his active addiction took over and created this person that was dangerous, that was cold-hearted, that didn't care about nothing but the getting and using and to express himself the way he chose to express himself, hiding the person that he truly was. Because of the trauma and the pain of the past, of not being able to handle it, he medicated himself and gave himself false pride, false power, and false belief that he was this person. So in my active addiction, I was presenting myself as something that I was not. And the drug made me live up to the person that I was choosing to be, which caused me a lot of pain, a lot in a quick period of time to present myself as the person that I truly are sharing with everybody else. But it was a false person who Robert truly was. And as in recovery, it teaches me to do the next right thing, to share who I am to another addict. I was told in the meetings that what stays here. We're not supposed to share our strength and hopes on the outside world because they don't understand. But us as recovering addicts, we do understand. But people on the outside will not understand. But also, I learned in my recovery that Robert is sick as his secrets. And when I realized I conned myself, duped myself, I felt about that small, that I was so dumb that I did it to myself. That I didn't choose another course of action. Well, recovery woke me up. from the sleep that I was caught in this progressive illness, addiction. But recovery woke me up. Right away, when I realized that, when I understood that I conned and duped myself, I did it to myself. When I realized that I allowed this drug to control me and keep me a prison, I wasn't smart anymore. I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. Matter of fact, I felt I was really dumb and stupid that I carried myself through this situation for 40 years. So I felt very little pride about myself. I didn't feel good about myself. And then all of a sudden, one night when I'm laying there in the bed, I jumped up and I said to myself, I'm going to help make sure people don't make the same mistakes I made. And that was the birth of Positive Stroke Staying Clean. I wanted to share my story, what I did to myself on social media, so somebody else won't con and manipulate themselves to mess up their lives. I wanted to show how easy it is for you to con yourself and dupe yourself to do something that will hurt you. Because you're going to make it seem like it's an okay thing to do. The interesting thing that recovery says, Robert, just do the next right thing. Don't think. Don't try to understand. Just do the next right thing. With each situation, each problem that comes up. It was different. It was difficult, but I followed the rule. Just do the next right thing. And that's what I did each and every situation that came up until it wasn't routine anymore. It was natural. Do the next right thing instead of walking in between the block to cut across the street. I would go to the corner, press the button, and make sure the walk sign says cross the street. Doing the next right thing. When I started on social media, sharing my story, sharing about recovery, sharing about the things that happened to me, people started approaching me. Some people approach me and say, man, you putting all your business in the street. I don't want to be recognized by you because they're going to think I'm just like you. Then I got a flood of people contacting me. And it was like, thank you. That helped me. That video you helped me. When I started to read Positive Stroke Staying Clean, I was in a recovery center. They was coming to me in the recovery center and wanted to have conversations with me about recovery. They wanted to understand my walk. They were telling me that they was learning from my walk. Staff was coming to me and said, I didn't know you had this type of insight. I stayed focused, kept doing the next right thing. Young women would come up to me and share their pain, their hurt. Something that it should be on a woman to basis, but they came to me, they felt that they can trust me with their pain. And I got emotionally connected to them. And we shared our recovery. I didn't judge. I didn't look down. I became a recovery friend. We were family. We've experienced addiction in our own lifestyle, in our own way, but we understand the pain and the trauma that addiction has done to us, which kept us connected. I was not trying to buy me a little piece on the side because she looked young and pretty. No. She was like a sister to me, like a cousin, like an aunt that I identified with my recovery with. Steph respected me because in these recovery places, men and women going through pain, and when they share their pain with a female or a male, they get emotionally connected and they take it to the level of caring, love, relationship. And they end up using the relationship as the power for their recovery, which takes them right back to their addiction. I shared with I remember a couple, there was a couple undercover in the program, and I said to myself, I said, if you care so much for each other, why can't you make a 5-year plan? You work on your recovery, she works on her recovery. You both go to and open up a joint account. You work, save money, put money into the account. You work, save money, put money into the account. Make a 5-year plan, work on your recovery, grow, save money together. And when you get enough for a first down payment, buy your furniture, the things that you need to put into the apartment. And by the time you achieve all these things, it might take you 18 months, 2 years to do. Maybe less on how much you put your grind on. But you work on your recovery too. And if the relationship is so much like you say it is, then doesn't it make sense to make sure that you build a sound recovery so the relationship will last? So you can save, so you'll go from your recovery situation, your job, you be there for a while, you do all this and you build all this, you save this, and then you'll get this together. That's dedication. commitment to your love and affection for each other? Would you try that? Why can't we just be together today and do it like that? The sad thing is that they both took a pass. They met up at the hotel. They slept together. They ended up smoking dope together, and they never came back. But one did eventually. The other one stayed out. And I realized that Robert has to be honest with himself openly so he doesn't fall victim to anything to divert him from his primary purpose of staying clean and sober. I realized that I am as sick as my secrets. So I started to share openly on my videos on Positive Stroke Staying Clean. I started giving you my perspective of how I looked at things. And I was being totally honest. I was honest about my step work and how the steps impacted my life. And I was getting so much feedback that it was very hard for me to keep up with. But the interesting thing that life came into effect and things slowed down and life was in session. So I kind of slacked off and didn't put a lot of time or effort in it because life was on life's terms. But when I reunited to the commitment on social media to express myself about recovery and to help people understand about recovery and how they can impact their own lives by the choices that they make, I got busy. I truly got busy. Oh yeah, when you're doing Facebook, Instagram, Tread, you're going TikTok, you're gonna get people that are gonna try to manipulate you, con you. Some are gonna try to hit on you. It's a whole together different world. And you have to be aware of what's going on around you. You have to take what's said in social media with a grain of salt. Do your research. And since I've been doing this for a few years now, it's a learning experience. But my motive and what I want to do has always stayed the same. I share my pain, what's going on with Robert, the uncomfortable stuff that happened in my life that some people do not want to identify with me because I share this on social media. They feel that I should keep things a secret. I'm sick as my secrets. My secret was an active addiction for 40 years. I kept it a secret. I thought I did, but a lot of people knew that I was way out of line with myself. The level of being high told on myself so many times. I remember when police pulled me over and I was in recovery. I had some time. And I was on my way to work, but I pulled in a Circle K, realized the time that I pulled right out. I said, no, I better go. But he was posted up in there. And he pulled right behind me. He said, why you pulling? You seen me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to be late for work. I can't get my coffee. He ran me. He looked at me again. He said, I know you. He said, you in recovery? I said, yeah, I'm in recovery. He said, yeah. He said, the last time I seen you so high, it was unbelievable. I thought I was going to run into you with an overdose eventually. And I realized right then and there that when I thought people didn't know, a lot of people did know. They just ain't cared. They just didn't know the people that I knew. Strangers knew because they saw me. They saw my real intent. They saw who I was, the way I acted. Other people just didn't know. They didn't know me, but they saw me. And I realized right then and there that somebody always sees what we do. They may not know us, but somebody sees the dirt that we do. And when I realized that, then I truly wanted to change my behavior by sharing my pain. To let you're not going to walk a perfect line. We all going to make mistakes. Some of us may relapse, some of us may not. But we're going to make bad choices in our lives because we're human. We're not perfect. And it goes back to the superhero. I'm showing you who the truly I am. I'm not nobody special. I'm just a regular person wanting to do right the best way I know how. By being honest with myself and others. To see people, to see my pain, my hurt, to understand what I am going through. But all my life, I kept myself a secret. I hid my pain. I lived it by myself. It's just like what happened with me is I never forget it. I was in California. I was riding a bike, and this guy ran me over. He went past the he ran the light and hit me. Uh, my wrist was broken. I fractured 3 ribs, right, and a blow to my head. And I was in the hospital, and I got well and everything. Come to find out, he was illegal. He didn't have no license, no registration. I never got paid. I didn't get a dime from the situation. Put it that way. The way it was, the way everything went down, the information, no insurance, I was just screwed. I'm the one that got messed up. This happened to me while I was in my active addiction. They told me that through the grace of God, for me being so high, that saved me from getting hurt worse than what I was. If I wasn't high, I would have hurt myself more. But since I was so high, that saved me from hurting myself even more. Isn't that crazy? because I didn't tense up. Because it just happened. And it knocked me off my feet. He knocked me off my feet. I hit the vehicle, trust me, but I landed back on my feet. A police officer seen the accident, came right there. But like I said, didn't have a license, didn't have insurance. It wasn't even his car. This happened in California. What I'm sharing is that was the issue that caused me to have chronic arthritis in my lower back and the deterioration of my disc. So I learned to live with pain. And I've tried so many different methods to minimize the pain, but I would keep all this a secret. I didn't share this information with others. I kept it to myself. I kept the things that was hurting me the most to myself. I didn't share my pain that I was going through. I shared about my addiction. I shared how I duped myself. I shared the things that I learned. But I didn't share my initial and the things that was truly affecting me at the present time. And when I started doing that on Positive Strokes Staying Clean, I opened up a group of people and different types of people that identified with what I was going through. That I got emails from some of these people where I started to share. I would get comments on Facebook and I started to answer them about recovery. A few people contacted me that they had family members that was in the grips of the progressive illness of addiction. What should they do? My desire to help others caused me to take peer support counseling to support a person in recovery, to help them along the way, to find their way. And when I took this course, and then I learned about the HIPAA law. I did some of my research, and a lot of it made sense. That in reality, the only way Robert gets better is Robert share what's truly going on with him. How you can get better is what you share truly about yourself. That you don't have to be ashamed of the things that you've done, because recovery taught me I am not perfect. I've been making mistakes all my life. Small to big, big to small. And recovery taught me that it's not the mistake that's important, it's what I do after the mistake. Did I learn from the mistake I made? Did I make steps to change my behavior? Did I own up to the mistakes? And by me being open about who I am and what I'm going through, there's no more shame. I don't have to hide who I am. I accept who I am. I accept that I was caught in a progressive illness, which is addiction. That I depended on a drug to relieve trauma and pain that I would not address or work on. I just medicated myself. Why? Because I was young, immature, didn't know about life like I should have. Because no one sat and taught me anything about life. It was either do the right thing or the wrong thing. And if you did the wrong thing, you got punished. That's it. I didn't feel love. I didn't feel none of that. It was either right or wrong. So there was a lot that I or did not have. So I didn't have the tools. But when I put the cocaine into my system, I didn't feel that pain anymore. So a person in my position would feel that this is the best course of action. And I learned that about myself. I learned something about myself by looking back at myself honestly and openly and sharing it to others so other people don't make that same mistake I made. That's what recovery is all about. That's what's helping your fellow man, your fellow woman, to help them overcome situations in their life so they can be better for themselves. Not me, but for themselves, to make better choices. I have to look at myself honestly about everything. What I learned is I don't like change. I get comfortable where I'm at. Why? Because I've been through so much pain in my life that when I get into a good space, I don't want it to leave. But I must learn to live life on life's terms. That means I must be able to be willing to change because life is always changing. And we're going to have to make different choices. The choices that I made last year worked for last year, but the choices I make for today has to work for today. I must understand that I must live life on life's terms, do the next right thing, pay attention to what's going on around me. And by me sharing who I am and what I'm going through, there's no shame. So you can't make me feel bad about myself because I'm being an open book about myself and I'm good with myself. I understand why I did what I did when I did in the past. I understand who Robert is. So I have no shame about who I am. If I have to hide who I am and what I want to be, that means that I have some type of form of shame of the person that I truly want to be, or that I am. So I hide that from everybody else, and that's not good for me. Then I'm lying and manipulating, and I'm not living my best life. I'm not living who I am. Recovery taught me that Robert has to find what works for him and how he can live his best life by learning about himself, by paying attention to himself, and paying attention to his actions around himself all the time. And by Robert doing that, Robert's life gets better. I hope I shared some things with you to make you just take a moment to look at yourself. That you heard the worst story you could possibly hear in the rooms of recovery from other people. Things that you say, oh man, wow, I know I ain't gonna try all that. Man, that's deep. Remember this. If you can share your worst situation out in the open without shame, then nothing can stop you or divert you from living your best life or making you feel worse or bad about yourself, about something that you did. Yes, I did. I'm imperfect. I made a mistake. I made a big one. Yes, I did. They can't hurt you. That situation can't hurt you. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to lie about it. You don't have to connive and do all this work to keep it a secret. That's too much work. That's taking away from you living your best life. If anything, it's holding you hostage so you cannot live your best life. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Strokes, wishing you a great Saturday. And tomorrow's Father's Day. So, all you fathers, happy Father's Day. I'm so happy that you are going to be blessed by the love that you so deserve. And those that are suffering alone, unable to spend time with your children, close your eyes, say a prayer, and tell yourself, I may not be with them today, but I'm going to work on being with them tomorrow. You have a great and wonderful day.